You're watching CCN, Clarksville Community Network. Produced by Goodwin Productions. Powered by CDE Lightband.
Welcome to CCN Network and another episode of Coach's Corner. Hey, Coach G, Coach P, Northwest, West Creek, Coach H, that's Coach Hood, at Rossview. It's nice to have you guys back for another episode. So today we want to kick it off with some recruiting. So I know that our coaches went to a recruiting fair yesterday at the Titan Stadium. They've done this 7 years? Yeah, about 7 years or so. And all the coaches come out, or most of the coaches come out from the high schools. And a lot of local coaches come out from the colleges and surrounding areas to get your kids recruited and to get the information out on some players. So, Coach G, what did you see yesterday?
We were able to, touch base with a lot of new coaching staffs. Generally when these coaching fairs, all the high schools get a booth, and then the colleges basically walk through and they visit each booth, and then each team, high school team, has a flyer of ACTs, GPAs, huddle highlight links, things like that you can give the coaches. And it's just a good time to meet the new coaching staffs that have taken over at certain places, get reacquainted with some guys that you've met that are coaching in the college ranks. And it's just a really good opportunity to kind of sell our kids. So we were able to, I believe there's over 80 colleges there. And I know everybody made their best attempt to kind of come by and check out what we have at West Creek. What about you?
Did you see anybody that you knew there?
Oh yeah, I saw you.
Oh, did we talk any?
Yeah, we talked a little bit.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. We're trying to recruit each other's players, We did a trade, didn't we? We had a trade deadline. We put that together.
I think if we can get that through, that'd be great. Yeah.
Now, I know, Coach P, you didn't get a chance to go, but I know you've been networking with some people and getting your kids out there. So,
it's very important as far as for all of us as coaches to make sure that our young men understand, number one, you got to market yourself. But we play our part as well. And I mean, we have so much on our table as coaches, X's and O's, making sure things, outside of football are good with grades, GPAs, and things like that. But in this day and age, these guys got to market themselves as well. And we got to make our good attempts to make sure that good young men get marketed and go to great colleges. It's what should be at the forefront. It's putting these young men in school. And that's what I tell kids. I'm here to put kids in school.
Right.
We'll win on the way, sure, but that's my purpose and that's my dream in life. But I mean, I was not able to, and it sounded like a great time too, man.
It was
good. Great.
The cookies were good. But I do think the big thing is I think what you brought up is like when kids are able to market themselves. I think that's a huge aspect, because I think every year the recruiting is changing so much where. A lot of kids are DMing coaches online, and their Twitter profiles and their Instagram profiles all matter. So the content that they're putting out, the photos that they're putting out for the world to see, coaches take that into perspective. When they're evaluating athletes, and we try to tell our guys all the time, like you want to be the most marketable athlete available with your grades, with your talent, and with your social media presence, because when we go to these recruiting fairs, and I mean, right next to me is Oakland High School. Yep. Right next to them is Springfield High School. Right next to them, is another really well developed program. And so like we may have similar athletes, but if they can get our player at a cheaper price and then also go get a Rossview player on the same scholarship, then that makes them more marketable. Whereas you get two similar players, one's a little bit more expensive with athletic money, they're generally going to pick the same or lesser player just because they can go get more athletes. And so we try to explain that to them that,
like you said, those GPAs and those and their grades play a huge role, because if you got young man right here with a 4.0
yep.
that's 6'2", and plays quarterback, but you got a guy 6'5" that's a 1.9, they're going to go, hey, we're going to talk to this kid. Talent may not be at the same level, but we can develop
yep.
this player, and we know his character is good, so you have to market yourself. And for college, for that, these coaches need to talk to us. We got to have those good good relationships, because I don't lie to college coaches. Yep. If I got a kid on my team that's a turd, I'm going to tell you, he's not worth going. Yeah. Do not go after him. But if he's worth it and he's good character, good morals, good standard, and takes care of his, academics like you're supposed to, it's easy for me to get on the phone. Mm-hmm. It's real easy for me to talk. So call us, man. Stop DM the players. Call us. But
well, it's funny you mentioned the Twitter. So a couple years ago, I had a really good football player, and I was trying to get him recruited by the school, and the coach said, "Hey, he's not on Twitter." I said, "Does that mean he can't play football?" Okay, so we knew he could play football. He had a great GPA, great grades, and so he ended up creating a profile and did all that stuff. And a couple weeks later, one of their rival schools offered him. So I texted him back and said, "Oh, yeah, we'll offer him." So that just goes to show you sometimes it's important. If you're doing your part, DM the coaches. You got your Twitter profile up and rolling. Those things are very important. And coaches are talking about, hey, I got to have this at certain schools like D3. We've mentioned this before. They may be looking for a 3.0 with 25 on the ACT. So I have one kid I talked to actually today, and he told me, he said, "Coach, I wish I wouldn't have made all C's because I could have went to Austin Peay." And I said, "Well, that rhymes. That's good. If you spent that much time learning how to rhyme and working in English and your other classes, hey, man, maybe you could have got those C's up to something else and got accepted into Austin Peay." It wasn't they can't get accepted, but now he was going to get a walk-on. Okay, it wasn't a scholarship. It was a walk-on. But in their walk-on, in the old days, guys, you would have 20, 30, 40 people walk on. Those days are over with. Yes. You get POs, you get preferred walk-ons now, and these coaches pick and choose who gets to come on. So they're going to have a selection of people, and they eliminate people.
Oh, so by the way, there's a transfer portal as well.
And there's a transfer portal.
So, that whole thing.
So the game has changed a lot recently with the portal and with these guys selecting POs to come on for their team. I know there's a few other kids in town that gets POs at Austin Peay. So they actually turned our kid down because of his GPA and his grades. I think some coaches are figuring, hey, if he's not doing good in school, we don't want him. We're going to find somebody else that can, and we've mentioned that before. So,
and the truth of the matter of all of this is it's their freshman and sophomore year of high school.
Good point.
It is so they don't value some players. I don't want to say it's all of our guys, because there's some great kids. They do not value their freshman and sophomore year. By the time junior year hits, they're at a 2.0, 1.9 trying to get to or 2.5 trying to get to 3.0, and they realize that those are the years. And that's probably one of the worst conversations I have with great young men is, I should have taken my freshman year serious. I should have taken my sophomore year serious.
And I heard that today. So
yeah,
that's the real talk. That's the real talk. So, and Coach just mentioned freshmen. Okay, sometimes when coaches are talking to you, it's your freshman year. It's exactly what Coach P said is, because you start off, you're a kid, you're playing around, and your GPA gets so low. When you get up in the junior and senior, you just don't take 2 or 3 classes, and your GPA just jumps up to 3 or 4, whatever. It doesn't work that way. You got all those classes in there, and it's harder to get your GPA up. You can only take gym and these other classes so many times, and water polo, basket weave, and all those classes. Listen, it don't work that way. So start off your freshman year with great grades, and then you can sort of, pick and choose. It's going to be a little bit easier for you as you go along to keep that GPA up.
Absolutely.
So great. We had D3 schools there yesterday, 2. Austin Peay come by, and a shout out to you guys. And I heard that Bryce Robinson had a great spring. I couldn't be there on Saturday, but heard he did a great job at quarterback, one of my former players. So kudos to you. And so some good things going on there. Chattanooga come by.
Tennessee Tech was there.
Tennessee Tech come by. Coach Alexander, they do a great job. And who else did we see there yesterday?
There was a lot of NAI schools over there, and then I think you said Division II. So there was a lot of good, surrounding schools that recruit this area. I think the nicest thing is that you get to meet some staffs that are not close to Tennessee, where that trip is a little bit more difficult. You had a couple people from Cincinnati, Ohio. We had a couple people that were, kind of the northern part of Kentucky come down, and I think that was really neat. Some people from South Carolina that just because of budgets, they normally can't get to you.
They were probably great people, by the way.
Oh yeah, they were good. They were really good.
South Carolina.
Yeah. They were great.
I didn't
people.
like any of them. I didn't like
Get rid of them all. But I thought they were really good, and so we were able to kind of really push some of our guys, and I think a lot of times, that one of the few things they do ask is, hey, do you still have any 23s left?
I heard that once yesterday.
If you're a 2023, just because you didn't sign on National Signing Day doesn't mean that that's necessarily over. That people are still looking to fill roster spots due to the transfer portal. People are leaving, people are coming, and so that leaves some voids that they're trying to fill with high school kids. And so, I see all the time people are saying, the transfer portal is awful for high school football, and there may be some truth to that. But at the same time, I think there is a home for everybody if you have your grades, most importantly, and then if you're a good athlete and you work hard. So
yeah, it was good. And what I enjoyed, I had a few coaches come, so some of my other coaches were taking care of talking to coaches and showing them their profiles and showing them their information and all that fun stuff. So I got to walk around and got to talk a little bit. I got to talk with Coach Gallowitz, but I also got to talk with some other coaches, some that I know or through my friends or fellow teammates in the past, even in college. Of course, that was like 1877. But anyway, that's another story. But some of them still alive. But they had some players that played for them and all that. So it was really fun to see other staffs, other schools, got to talk with those guys. Hey, what are you running? What do you like? Just how you doing? So it was also very fun just to network with other coaches. And there were some coaches from East Tennessee that I got to talk with yesterday, and that was really fun. Enjoyed that. And some Crossville area coaches, and see some people we don't get to see on a normal basis. So we act like we like each other now, which we were acting like it. It's just for this show, but when we play each other, that will turn. He won't even talk to me. Coach G won't even come over pregame. Won't even talk to me. He'll be over like scowling down.
Them both back-to-back weeks, so there's gonna be a 2 to 3 week period, and I might not speak to them either.
We're still doing the coaches show by then. We just need to skip over that 3 week period until we can clear the air with us three.
You know what I'm saying? If whoever wins, we don't need to talk about winning or losing. Now we don't have to recap that game either.
The other coach might want to talk about it, though. Hey, let me tell you what we had a really good game. So-and-so did this. We had a great effort,
If that's the case, then y'all will be welcome to the show. Unfortunately, Coach Peña is not here today. He'll know why.
So let's change the tone a little bit here. So let's move up a couple classifications. So I'm not a big Twitter and all this networking guy, but I've seen a couple clips. The NFL draft. That's my son Dylan is huge into this thing, man. My family, I mean, they have draft parties. I mean, they stay up all night drinking soda. Ease up there, people. So they do this draft, and they are big in pizza night. So the quarterbacks, I know that the Tennessee guy, they say maybe 3. The Kentucky guy's shooting up the charts because he looks good. Looks good in that little compression shirt. If you've ever seen him, guy looks good. Maybe we can get Coach G on a compression shirt. Maybe, do some moves or something.
I'm gonna need to do the NFL Combine drills a couple more times before I get into any compression shirts. That's why I'm wearing a 3XL today or whatever this is.
3XL.
But yeah, I think I'm a big Ohio State guy. My family's from Ohio, so that's
he's looking good. What do you think about him?
So CJ Stroud, I hope.
Where's he going?
I hope anywhere. If he's not going to go to the Titans, I need him to get out of the AFC South because the Texans and Colts are kind of up there battling for quarterbacks. I really hope someone takes the kid out of Kentucky. You know what I mean? Because
now to me he's had some good moments, but is he that guy?
He ain't that guy.
I don't know. Is he
That's
the guy?
why I hope the Texans take him, and then the Colts take Anthony Richardson. That's a big dude.
He's going to play somewhere.
Out
don't
of
you think?
Florida. That guy. I mean, I watched a couple of his highlights. I think him and the kid from Kentucky were seeing who could hit the roof the most times when they were throwing at their own pro days.
They're crazy.
Those kids are nuts. And then, the Titans always feel like they pick somebody. It's just I want them to have the sexy pick. You know what I mean? Like the new quarterback, the new corner or the running back, and it's
where everybody's cheering.
Yeah, it's 100% going to be like a left tackle. So it's going to be like it's left tackle. We'll see if he'll work out better than the Panda guy we had.
You don't think they're going to select a kicker and everybody boos them?
Nah,
you don't pick kickers, right?
At this point, I don't even know what they're going to do. It's just So it's not looking good.
Well, what about the running backs? The guy in Texas, I think he's like high on the charts, man.
Bijan Robinson.
I think that guy is something else. He's phenomenal.
You know, Coach Sark has an interview that he did a few weeks ago with Ryan Clark. They have a podcast, and he raved about that guy. They think he's the next big running back to make a real big splash in the NFL. And, you know, it's a quarterback-heavy draft this year, and I'm a junkie with the draft as well, too.
Okay.
It's definitely quarterback-heavy, but he may be the only one in the first round that gets picked up at running back because it was few and far between as far as running backs this year.
Well,
I mean, he's a big talent, though. He looks
good.
Yeah.
I've seen him play a couple. I love watch Texas play, and
yeah, they're fun.
And I think they play Alabama this year. Maybe they did last year.
They did last year. They almost beat them,
but they play in Tuscaloosa this year.
Yeah, so
it's a big game to go down there. A little coaches clinic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take a couple days off of work.
Is it coalition? It's
Coaches
coalition.
I like that title for that.
That's a mandatory thing, I think. So we're gonna have to.
We'll put in for that. I think we'll get some PD, public, professional development,
professional
maybe
development.
some hours. That went out years ago. You guys axed us on that years ago. So people watching this, man, we used to go to clinics and spend like 18 hours drawing, writing, talking, leadership, and do all this stuff, and we don't get professional development hours for that. But that's another story. That's another show. But so what about this lineman? I'm not a lineman, guys. So what's up with the lineman? I know the Titans need someone.
Yeah,
they need 5, I think.
No,
how many linemen does it usually?
Yeah, you need 5.
You need 5.
So Titans might want to get 6 for good measure, because the left tackle or the tackle from Ohio State, he's high up on the board. So I'm hoping we possibly.
There's a big guy out of Iowa. I think there is too.
Iowa always have linemen, right?
Yeah,
they always have linemen.
Iowa stays
and like Wisconsin.
Yeah,
you know,
of
those
course.
people like that, the big boys. And I guess the Cyclones at Iowa State have all the tight ends.
Yeah,
they've got like 3 tight ends every set, 6'5", 280.
Yeah,
you know, run like 4.6. So they got them all over the place. They're motioning, shifting.
And the coach was at Ohio State over there. That was at Iowa State. Is he still there? He was a coordinator at Ohio State.
I'm not for sure.
The head coach at I think it's Campbell was his last name.
He's still there. Yeah,
he's
still
there.
Does a great job. Row the boat. Row the boat,
yeah,
right? Row the boat. I think they're still rowing the boat. Yeah, seriously, man, that's still their logo.
Yeah.
Like Vanderbilt's anchor down, right?
Yeah.
3 more coaches, but they're still anchoring down. You know,
Yeah.
It's okay. So does anybody know what Austin Peay is this year? Anybody know what Austin Peay is? It's what anybody know? Come on. It's local. Come on, it's red. So I don't know.
Something about a rock this year, I believe.
Is that close? Does anybody know in the back?
And they always chase the
lion.
lion.
In the back? No.
They chase the lion. I know it was chasing lion.
Chasing lion. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Break the stone.
Break the
stone. Okay,
break the stone.
I saw it here and there, but it escaped me because
similar to like Excalibur, like
Yeah.
but you know who can pull it out of the stone.
So
right?
what's let me ask you this: when you're coming up with kind of the mantra for the season, ours is like lock the gate.
Right.
Like we want to have like just lock the gate. Like it's us versus them. It's like one of us is leaving. You know what I mean? Like lock the gate, like pin them in here, like let's do it. Like there's a kind of an aggressiveness to it. When y'all are coming up with your mantras or your season kind of slogans, what do y'all kind of usually look for as inspiration?
Mine, seriously, this happens like every year. This year it didn't, but most every year. I get it in church. When I'm at church, our pastor Luffin does a fabulous job. Like last year was burning the ship. So he started talking about that. So last year was like, hey, we're going over. Mm-hmm. We're going to get off the ship. We're going to burn it because we ain't going backwards.
Yep.
So that's sort of our motto for last year. This year sort of set the culture, how we practice, how we, how we weight lift, how we exercise, how we do everything, setting the culture and the pace about how practice begins and how practice ends. But most of mine will come from church. So Pastor Luffman, a shout out for years and years. He does a fabulous job of teaching us the Word for number one.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times the Word is very much to life, right? It's about how you act, and you're teaching kids. And he's teaching us. So I feel like a lot of times that really coincides and correlates with what I'm trying to teach kids and the values, but how maybe it's setting the tone or things that they need. I get a lot of stuff from that. How about you, Coach?
Mine is a little bit more broader. Usually it's from the kids. I'll hear something a kid says, and I'll say, oh, that's a little catchy. Let me try that out. Or last year was a parent. She was like, well, I hope, you're here to be the change for everybody. And I was like, be the change. Okay, that's it for us for last year. So that was ours last year. We haven't established yet this year, but it's usually if it's not the kids, it's usually just some random moment, and I'll just hear something, that'll pop up, or I may take it from somebody else. I'll hear college coaches or a school
sure.
I know I'm not gonna, and I'll hear what they say, and I'm like,
So you're
all
saying
right.
you might copy something else?
I just might. I just might. But if it correlates with my program, then yeah. But
well, let me ask you this: Do you ever use the same one 2 years in a row? How about that?
No,
Yeah, 2 years.
I don't.
Unbelievable. Would somebody do something like that?
I
2 years
don't.
in a row, same one?
It'd be tough. Because I think you do kind of want to have. It's like turning the page, you know.
Right.
It's
That was
this
last
is-
year's team.
This
That's
is now like what we're huddling around. Those seniors were able to kind of come up with their mantra. I think sometimes giving the kids a lot of leeway with some of this stuff too is now they like to get out of hand.
The kids will cook
Some
you.
of them like to add in.
The kids will give
yeah.
you mess if you go 2 years in a
gotta
row
pull
too.
'em in
Let's
a
put
little
it like that. Like
Yeah.
if you say this is it for the second year, you're gonna have some of those leaders that look at you and like, well, that was the old team,
Well,
man.
maybe you said hey, we didn't change, so we're
Yeah.
going to be the change. We didn't change, we'll be the change.
Well-
now Dick Saban always said I've heard him say this like they say, hey, you're national champions, and no, we're not national champions. Last year's team was national champions.
right.
This year's team hasn't won a game.
Correct.
So it's very similar to you, turn the page. Let's move on. I think he's mentioned that many, many times about last year's team. That's over with. It's done, and then we got to turn the page.
That's true. I think it's vital for the sense of not only the tone of your team, but it sets them their own identity. Like y'all are saying, like they feel unique in their own. I got crushed for releasing my schedule this year and had seniors on the schedule.
Right.
And my up-and-coming seniors were like, why weren't we on the photo? Why are these guys on there? And I'm like, dude,
Maybe something
you're going to
slipped.
be on every promo every week for 10 weeks, I promise. Anything we do is going to be you guys, and I promise you those are going away. It's just a schedule, man. They didn't want to hear that. I pissed off a few of my guys with that one.
Well, and that's our thing is we try to, it's because it is hard sometimes because a lot we have a guy that takes photos of our games. He's a dad, Mr. Woodworth, and he does an incredible job. And so, but it is sometimes hard to find those action shots of those other kids or because they are younger ones that may not have got the same amount of playing time that year, and then your seniors are the ones that you kind of were playing the most, and so you have the most photos of those kids. You know what I mean? But
So how that works, isn't it?
yeah. Sometimes we have to go digging, but I do think it is fun to kind of give each team an identity with a different mantra, and you kind of do different events with them and kind of just mix it up. I think it kind of keeps it interesting because I think it is cool when you look back. I want the kids to be like, oh man, our freshman year, remember we did that? And then, hey, remember junior year we got this? And then, hey, our senior year was so cool because we did this and this. And so I think it is neat to kind of just change those events up. And then.
So now you have some team builders, right? I mean, it could be we're going, one year I took them to Fort Campbell. We're going to do this ropes and all this stuff, So and kids get teams and they think they want to pick their buddy or their guy's going to be successful or the guy's strong. So one year when I was at the academy, I said, we're going to have a little contest today. So I said, I want each class to pick their buddy. You pick the guy who you want. So they're picking the big, he's their fast guy. So we had a sort of like a chicken eating contest in a way. Okay, so Coach Duncan Williams brought back some hot chicken from Hattie B's. Okay, so we all set them down, right? So I said, close your eyes, and I'm going to give you something in your mouth. I said, but you have to hold it for 1 minute or you lose the bet. And I can't remember what the reward was, but I said 60 seconds and hold it in there, and then you can swallow, no water, nothing. So you talking about, so they picked people who were, that they thought was going to do the push-ups or the run or whatever, So it was so funny. So one kid was sweating beads after 30 seconds, One kid got up and ran. And so we had 2 left. And so we had a tie, right? And so they were just sweating, pouring blood. They, what was that? I was like, it's just hot chicken from Hattie B's. I think it's called Shut the Clock Up.
Yeah.
That's the hottest one. So, and Coach Williams, so Coach Williams and those guys would drive back in the van.
Yeah.
So we might be back early, but those guys, you might stop, get a little bite to eat, enjoy themselves on the way back from the scrimmage or something. They like that kind of stuff. So had some leeway. So that was hilarious. And then, so one of the other guys were like, well, Coach, you would have picked me if I would have known. I'm like the hot guy. I can just, drink fire. I'm good, So you never know what these kids are going to pick because they're always thinking it's a competition, competitive. So you ever have any kind of crazy things. Now listen, I'm still coaching. It's all good. They're not going to fire me. Little hot chicken. Your kid's going to be okay. A couple gallons of water, a little milk. You know, they're all good. Just ease up, parents. Ease up. You're good. So any kind of crazy ones, or just some team builders in general?
Yeah, I mean, we always do last year we did the team building. We went to Bethel, so that was kind of a fun thing. I'm trying to think. We did one year when I was at my last school. We did a.
Now, if it's gonna get you fired, we don't say that.
Nah. We're all good. Yeah, I'm screening it. I think we used to make milkshakes.
Right.
After workouts.
Right.
And then we would like sell them to the kids for like 50 cents or $1 or whatever it was. And we had we were going on break, so we had but we kind of made more than we really needed, and it wouldn't last to the break. So we got kids in there, and we're like, all right, we're gonna see you can drink as many milkshakes. Yeah. And at a certain time period. Well, of course, that's a lot of milk.
How'd that
And
work out?
we had a lot of kids.
How'd that cleanup work?
Yeah, it was the kids. It was one of those things that in the moment it was funny. And about a couple minutes, about 30, 45 minutes later, kids were like, that was a very questionable idea.
That was
and then as coaches, you're like, man, we should have seen that coming. That wasn't smart. But
are we not always learning as coaches?
West Creek's bathrooms.
Oh no, it wasn't at West Creek. This is when I was a young guy in my last school.
You're somewhere else.
Yeah, it was somewhere else in the city. It wasn't with me.
But you learned something from that, right? I mean, you learn, right? It's a learning experience.
Well, it's just
don't
one of
do
those
that
things
again.
in the moment, you're like, oh, this is a good idea. We got to get rid of this milk somehow. We don't want to waste it. You know what I mean? What better than give it to the kids? They're excited about it. They're roo-rooing. And then, a couple kids are just
it ain't working.
getting a little queasy walking to the car. But yeah, I mean, that's just fun stuff we do.
I'd have paid money to see that, man. That's great.
We had one time we had pizza pregame when I was at Northwest, and Coach Patterson, we had this big stud quarterback, Eric Hall. We went to Texas, played, won a Rose Bowl with Vince Young. Great kid and a great, phenomenal player. A little crazy, but I loved him. So we had extra pizza. So, hey, I'm like, where's the extra pizza? Coach's like, oh, I just give it to the kids on the bus. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I just don't like that idea. So we get there, and so Eric ate an extra whole pizza on the bus. So we kick off to him. He's a kickoff guy. Played quarterback. He was 6'3", 245, and run a legit. No, he weighed 241 from the waist down. Game 10, true short. And he ran a legit 4.6. So he caught the ball, busted out, run about 55 yards, and instead of getting the guys coming at an angle, so instead of taking them on him, he went right out of bounds, right to the fence, and just let it go right over the fence. So needless to say, he didn't get the first series at quarterback because he was letting it go over the fence. But so yeah, sometimes you learn. You can't just give kids all the food. There's times for everything.
Well, so. I remember when I was in high school, my senior year. It might have been I think it was my senior year. We had to go play Independence, and so we went up there, and they took us to Golden Corral. So
all you can eat?
Oh yeah. So a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds running loose. The ice cream machine hasn't cooled down in 10 minutes because everybody's just sticking cups and cones in their hands, and we're eating ice cream and ribeye steaks and tacos and everything under the sun, and then we had to go play. And
how'd that work out?
Well, we weren't very good to begin with.
And how'd that work out on top of that?
But then it made it for a longer night. When we were trying to play with all that in our stomach, and it was we ended up.
So the parents
the running clock ended up being a good thing for us, to be honest.
You gotta go.
We were trying to get back into
we gotta get out of here. So as parents, we set perimeters why is coach so picky on what they eat? Well, we've learned a few things over the years. That we may not want to eat 3 pizzas before the game.
And let's get into it. The do's and don'ts of a team meal, man. Don't bring tacos, y'all.
No,
we're not.
Tacos.
I don't want my guys eating taco mess before a game.
Okay, let me throw this at you because this, we used to be when I was at Fort Campbell. That's a true story. 3 years, 45 games, 3 state championships. This is a true story. Spaghetti every single meal. Oof. Every meal. Parents come in and fix it, spaghetti. Man, and you could hear a pin drop. Nobody talked. Nothing. Ate food. Serious, true story. But now when we did travel a couple of times, we had pancakes one time. We played 11 o'clock or something in state games, but that was it. So when I went to academy over there, we did spaghetti, and then kids hitting me up, So we went on a steak streak one time. I said, we keep winning. A guy would grill the steaks and baked potatoes. It was awesome. And Miss Dirksen would give us some big dessert. So we won like 5, 6 games in a row. So we had like steak, potato. I would say, hey, we win, we have steak and baked potato. So we was rolling. So we would branch out. But lately, now this is like a cardinal sin, you think, but sometimes I give them fried chicken. They like fried chicken. Now, hey, there's energy in fat. There's energy in fat, more energy than in carbs. I'm not a nutritionist, but I've read that somewhere.
Well, I think my big thing though is like, because like we do team meals on Thursdays.
Right.
And some say that might be like that's the most important
That's what
meal.
they say. That's what they say.
But you know, what do I know? And so then but I mean, I remember being that young and I mean, you could put whatever you want in your body and still go play, and you know, you could run around, and you know. So now, if I tried to do that, I mean, I'm getting heartburn just walking up the steps. But I think, you know, sometimes for the kids, I think.
You got Tums? You carry Tums?
Oh yeah, it's an essential thing once you get past 30. But yeah, I think the big thing is like you can feed the kids whatever you want, and at the end of the day, like as long as it's not dairy or something out of control like that, I think you're gonna still get, you know, somebody that's going to be able to perform well.
That was like me for last year. We could have fed our kids anything except for my quarterback, Raymond Rodarte.
He's picky.
He threw up every game.
Didn't matter what he ate.
Didn't matter what he ate. He threw up.
So don't feed him.
At least 8 to 9 weeks straight.
Yeah.
He'd go out there.
He's just nervous, I guess, right?
Got to be nerves,
you
you know.
nerves.
Got to be nerves. But like the West Creek game, I think it was that first series. He's going running flood, and he's getting. You had a big nose tackle right there chasing him down, and he gets the ball off and he falls to the ground. He's getting frustrated, comes to the sideline. Like you said, how your player runs straight to the fence. He ran right past the offensive coordinator. He's like, hey, straight to the trash can right there and let it loose in the trash can.
Why didn't you have him play like now listen, because I'm a veteran coach, so I would say something like, hey, I need you to go play nose guard for the next snap. So go over top of the center. And just sort of maybe let it go, maybe mess up the ball.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not in the rule book. I've never seen that in the rule book.
It's not, because you know what?
Coach Hood always finding another way to get ahead a little bit.
Like I said, my linemen,
go play nose guard. One snap.
Man. If I got offensive linemen like that, they ain't leaving. They don't get off the field. They may move their helmet a little bit and let it loose somewhere on the 30 or on the hash.
All right, well,
but my linemen will let it loose.
I don't want anybody at home getting sick.
Oh, yeah,
so let me ask you this: spring ball's on the way. We're going the first week of May, second week of May. So what are some things that like you guys are really like kind of going in with some confidence about? What are you excited to see? And then what are some like question marks that you may still have with spring ball?
So, Coach P, we'll start with you. What are you looking at there in Viking land over there?
I think we start on Monday. And we'll have our spring game, after our 12 practices.
Hey, can I come out and watch your spring game?
No. I love you, bro. I love you, buddy, but
nah, man.
No.
I'm coming to yours.
But
what do you mean?
Hey, and you know what? I made it foolproof anyway. You're gonna be in school because I copied him. And my spring games during school.
Taking a half a day. Yeah. You just wrapped the rope from my house, right? You just live. I'm riding like I'm walking. I'm walking.
So our spring game will be during school. But what I'm excited about is our linemen, our offensive and defensive line. I'm excited to see those guys get down in the trenches and just compete and work hard. We have some really, really good, talented linemen come in. I hired an excellent defensive line coach this offseason, and Coach Brown Jackson was with our offensive line, and he's been great for me the past few years, and that's where it all starts. So to see that they're bigger and they're stronger and they're moving better, it's a good thing for me to see on that. And it's just our question mark is our quarterback. Right. We got to find it. We have.
Is that? I mean, being a coach, I don't know, is a quarterback important to your team?
The quarterback is very important for sure.
What about the center? He touches the ball every play.
Yeah, he's not as important, but he is important. Yeah. Especially when that ball's 50 feet in the air. It looks like a firework going off. But
we got to make sure we have 4 quarterbacks that'll be competing for the starting job. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of that.
Are you included in that quarterback, or is that for like high school kids?
If it were me, I'd win it because I played quarterback.
I got you.
I'd win it. But no, we have some young guys too that are just coming in and working their butts off. Good. And I think that's the question mark is finding a quarterback. I'm excited about our linemen. And then, the biggest question as far as spring ball is can we effectively learn our scheme and carry it over into in the summer? And technique all day. Got to tackle better. We had out of 10 games, man, I don't know. Y'all can cut this if you need to.
MTs, missed tackles?
It's about 208 missed tackles, man, in 10 games. And it's not a fun thing to watch, but it's a stat that my guys need to know. My coaches need to know. I need to understand how many missed tackles we've had in weeks, starting with game 1. So if we can effectively tackle, especially with speed at West Creek, good linemen, big size guys, over there at Rossview, I don't know, he hides them in a shed somewhere or something. But, if we can effectively tackle, we'll be okay for a little bit.
Who are some players that you think, like, for your team that we need to watch out for, especially us need to watch out for?
Who do I play you first, or does Rossview play you first? You first, I think. And then we play.
Yeah, I have week 4, and I think I have
all the film you want. Back copy, side
here
copy.
we go.
Well, apparently we're in the bubble or whatever we're doing. But what are some players that you think we should, the city should know about, that we were going to hear a lot about?
Offensively, it'll start with DeMarcus. DeMarcus is a sophomore, but he's blinding speed as a running back. He's going to be a really good featured player on our offensive side of the football. I think he handles the ball very well. He catches in space. He's he's got really great speed. Joseph Richardson at left tackle. I mean, he's just a whole problem to deal with, man. You trying to pass rush on that side is going to be a very, very tough outing for you. On defensively,
hold on one second.
Yeah, write the names now.
Continue on that.
Defensively, I'll say in all the seasons that I've been coaching, this is probably one of the most impressive kids I've ever coached is Bryce Brooks. He's a 6'4", 220, 6'5", 220 defensive end, 15 years old. So
I heard he's transferring to Rossview is what I heard.
Well,
it's in the portal, I think.
The funny thing is he's in our Health Science Academy. Had he not been in that, he'd be at Rossview.
There you go.
He'd be at Rossview.
Cheater.
But I mean, he's growing, and he's a really, really good talent on that defensive line. There's Timothy Roldan as well that plays both sides of the football, and those guys, that offensive line, I can always talk about the whole line, and the defense. If we get good contributions on the defensive line, we can do some things. But it starts with those leaders like that. Keaton Watford, I can't even miss him. He's a nose tackle for us, and he's just so strong, man. Strongest kid we got. I mean, clean slate on, deadlifts, squat.
So what's he deadlift, Coach?
He's well over 500.
What's he bench press, Coach?
He's well over 230, 240, something like that. Probably trying to sneak in. I got two guys trying to sneak in the 300-pound club.
Are you going to rest him against us?
With me? No. No.
Okay.
Hopefully he stays healthy, healthy. But I mean, I could talk all day long about these young men, but it all goes back to quarterback. Yeah. We got to have have to have that signal caller that can lead our offense, and our defense will try our best to get out of there on third downs.
Now, one good thing about spring is that I could be wrong, but I think most coaches don't work on special teams, sort of, right? You might do a little punt or some PAT or something, but you're not going to spend a lot of time. Yeah. You might spend a little bit of time. It's not something you really focus on because we really don't do it. There's no game. It's not. There's no win-loss column going on with that kind of fun stuff. So you just sort of focus on your X's and O's, offense and defensive wise. So what about over there
at the Creek?
At the Creek.
So we're kind of going through the same thing. We got a young guy, DJ Swanson. He played JV quarterback for us, and so we're going to try to kind of build our offense around a couple of these guys. So we're going to try him at quarterback. We've got Daniel Honeycutt. He was our safety last year, number 6. And he also plays a little quarterback, so we're going to kind of see what we can get out of there. We got a big running back, Jay-Sean Owsley. He was, he averaged like 5 yards every time he touched the ball. He runs with a full head of steam, so we're really excited about him. We've got we're kind of really recruiting some other sports to kind of fill out the offense, especially on the offensive line. We got Aiden Madden that we're going to really try to use him as our strong side defensive end and our one of our tackles. We got the Hunt brothers, which Amari and Jalen. They're both going to kind of try to anchor us down at guards.
What's the name again?
The Hunt brothers.
That's intimidating.
Hunt,
Right
get
there,
like,
bro.
get like free pizza, like Hunt Brothers pizza.
We need to figure out an NIL deal with them. You know what I mean?
Hunt
So,
Brothers pizza.
That's a great name. The
Yeah.
Hunt Brothers. Yeah,
Hunt,
that's intimidating. I like it.
So,
Maybe that's your motto. That's your motto
Yeah,
for next year.
and we're really excited about the older one because he tore his shoulder up last year before we even got into the season. So this is his senior year,
Good
and
deal.
so he's healed back up.
Are they twins?
No,
Okay,
one's a sophomore and the other one's a senior. And so, we're really excited about those guys. And then, we've got on the defensive side of the ball, luckily we're bringing a lot of back. We didn't lose a whole lot.
Right.
In key positions, we lost a corner and a safety and, a defensive tackle and stuff like that. But
We love you, Jarrell.
yeah. But we
nightmares.
yeah, but we're bringing back the majority of the defense, and so our defense was the best that West Creek had in school history for points against. So we're kind of excited about plugging like Josh Clark in there, and then Kingston Leon's a real young guy we got. He's going to be a junior, and he was our leading tackler last year. So when you get guys that are coming back like that, it lets you sleep a little easier at night.
Sure.
Just trying to figure out the offensive side of the ball is going to be tough. But I'm really excited about the pieces we have. We got a really good 8th grade class coming up. And, some of those guys may have to play sooner than later. We got a big kid that Gutierrez, he's going to be an 8th grader, and he played quarterback down there. And, he's every bit of 6 foot plus. So we're kind of excited about him. And they're doing their own weight program. And so, those kids are just getting faster and stronger every day. And so we're excited to kind of see them. So what about you?
Well, we've got a new defense coordinator, Coach Young. He's been on my staff before as an offensive coordinator. He's going to take over the defense, and him and Zach Harris and Coach Hunter and Coach Jenkins and the whole staff over there is really putting together. It's sort of unorthodox. It's going to be a 2-9 defense, but we're looking at JT Sims and Reed playing on some defense this year because they're very good athletes. So it's going to be very unorthodox how we line people up.
Like the amoeba defense, like what the Patriots used to do, where they're just
You ain't gonna find us. You can't scheme us. No. Snap
just
the
a bunch
ball.
of people
We're
running
gonna be
around.
somewhere. We're gonna be somewhere on the other side of the ball. So
yeah, we did that. It was a funny story. We did that against Henry County. The last year that West Creek, I think, was in 5A.
right.
And we went viral on TikTok. And it wasn't for a good reason either. But go ahead.
We all just like run around and
Yeah, we were trying to bounce around, and then the running back went out into the flats, and we were still kind of just coming from each angle, and no one picked him up, and they ran it back on us. But go back to your story.
I've
yeah.
seen that a few times in
Yeah.
college. So those are a couple guys on the defensive side, and they'll obviously playing offense. Like Reed will be returning at quarterback, and JT Sims played a little quarterback last year when Reed sort of broke his thumb, so he was out for a few games. I think the last 3 or 4 games. Hezekiah Scott's going to come back. He's playing baseball now, so he'll be battling at the quarterback position. Deron Moffitt's going to play some running back for us. He's a big kid, try to get a big load running at you. And DJ Young was a mainstay at offense for us last year, so he'll be back returning. He'll be back running the ball this year. Now we're just going to go to a 2 tight end wishbone set.
There you go.
So we'll have the old school, if you remember like the fullback's a 3-back and a 2-back and a 4-back and the quarterback's a 10-back, right? You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Well, so we don't do it that way. So scrap all that. And the right side's 2, 4, 6, 8. Little league guys, and the left side's 1, 3, 5, 7, right? Right? Good, because we don't do it like that either. It's a different system. But anyway, so the wishbone's going to be nice for us. We're going to try to pound you. We got some good young linemen coming up. We're sort of inexperienced at the linemen, so would you stop it? And then Big B's doing a good job up front. We've got Ethan Gallagher coming on, Lucas and his brother Logan. two big boys. They're learning the game. Colin Michael playing some tight end. He'll be playing some outside linebacker for us. He's doing well. We got a couple of young receivers we like, Westmoreland and a Jordan Culp. They'll be playing for us. So some young guys got to step up and play a little bit. But, so if we got to break off from the wishbone, we'll see how we can maybe shift, maybe start in the wishbone, break it off, or, something like that. Try to confuse you with 3 backs and 2 tight ends or something like that.
Well, I think that's the big thing is like, you're trying to fit an offense to your personnel, because every year you're losing certain guys, and sometimes you have guys that can do certain things. And then you could probably hear this from a lot of college guys and NFL guys that like they sometimes steal from high school coaches, where because you have to get so creative at this level with formations, and you just can't run inside zone like the NFL and just hope your left tackle's better than the defensive end across from you. You have to scheme, and you have to kind of come up with some different formations where I'm not really trying to confuse you. I'm just trying to I'm trying to confuse the 16-year-old, across from me.
3
so,
backs.
But that's exciting. So who do you guys have for spring scrimmage? Because we're doing Montgomery Central.
And we're doing East Rob.
Okay.
At Tennessee Tech in Cookeville. So if you want to be there, it'll be the Friday. I think it's like the 19th at 6 o'clock. Friday night. So I think Coach G is going to be there in Cookeville, and we won't be there. So that'll be interesting to see Coach G up there. Maybe you can get a bite to eat while you're up there.
I'm telling you, you're about to have 20 parents down there with me being like, what happened?
Why is no one here tonight? But, it's a good point. We're not going to run the wishbone. But I have run the wishbone before. And I think you made a good point. We are going to change some things up differently this year. The things we've done in the past is not going to be conducive to what our personnel is. So we'll change some things up, maybe run some more tight end sets and do some things, try to utilize our personnel better. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out,
Very important, man.
So spring will be big for us for a new scheme, sort of on both sides of the ball. The 211 is going to be interested on defense. Just a joke. There's not such thing as a 211. That'd be illegal. But if you could play with 12 or 13, that'd be great. But sometimes they catch you, sometimes they won't.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So we used to do that at Fort Campbell. Coach Marciano was the offense coordinator, and we was pretty good. So we put 12 guys on defense. So he'd get really mad, like, hey, and he's like, hey, you got 12 guys on defense. And I was like, hey, yeah, what's up? Coach, block us,
Yeah.
So have a little fun with it, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, practice. That's always
That's
good.
Fun, jack somebody up. So I think for us, it's getting the scheme in, knowing the personnel, getting our inexperienced line to understand and what we're trying to do, trying to get some things worked out. So that's sort of our big goal there, and just pushing through it.
I know it's early, and we're about to start spring, but is there anything on the schedule as far as even a scrimmage or anything like that you have circled or starred? I mean, not at Northwest, please, hope not, home to Northwest, but is there any games that you think that will be an important game for your season, or something that you look at like, this one will define how we are as far as that? Is there anything for y'all?
Well, go ahead, Coach G.
I mean, I think, we always have the rivalry games. Of
course. And your rivalry is going to be?
Northeast. But we also do have 2 trophy games with Kenwood and with the Northwest. Yep. So the kids do get up for those games a little bit more. And so I don't know how we ended up in all of these. But, I mean, the kids, I think it is important. West Creek's actually never beaten Northeast. So I think it's important to try to get that first win and, gear towards that. And then, obviously we want to continue to be able to be competitive and keep those trophies in those trophy games with us. So I think those games, we always circle on the map. And then, this year trying to be able to be competitive in our league with so many good teams and so many good coaches, and then try to get to the playoffs for the first time since 2010. And, I mean, in order to do that, you got to beat 4 teams, within the city to get in. And so if you can beat those 4 games, then I think, every game really holds a lot of water. But, in the off season, we have Greenbrier, and then we're going to Fort Campbell for our scrimmages. Right. So we're kind of excited to kind of see some different teams like that. And so I think Greenbrier is always like a big, physically tough team. So you're going to see, we always try to find like a team that's going to look like somebody else. So, when you face a Greenbrier team, it's going to look like a Dixon or a CHS. It's, when you face a Fort Campbell team, it's going to look like a Kenwood. It's going to look like a Northwest.
Right.
When you face, Montgomery Central, it's, again, it's kind
Hopefully
of
we look like his championship years at Fort Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully.
And so, those are some things. But, yeah, so those are
So I
some
think for us, so we've circled a couple schools only. I think it was Northwest, so and West Creek. Those two. So those are two teams we circled and no one else.
Yeah, there you go.
So we don't. It's just how we roll at Rossview, man. We got
Yeah.
you guys here. But Clarksville's our big rivalry.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kirkwood will because they're going to be right up the road, sort of
Yeah.
like Kenwood's,
Yeah.
a couple miles up the road. So that's a couple. That's a couple big schools that we're looking at that we sort of have every year. But really, it's always your first game, right?
Yeah.
Your first game is very important. Your biggest improvement is supposed between game 1 and game 2. And we got Logan County on the schedule.
Yeah.
They're really good across the state. So they do it. And I've talked with the coach up there for many years. He does a really good program up there. So it's going to be interesting. Then we just hit the schedule. It's like you. I mean, every game's a city game. Every game is going to be important.
Yeah.
Baseball, basketball, they play each other twice sometimes. And they can, you can mess up a little bit. But for football, every Friday is very, very important. You don't get second chances. So we're looking forward to 2023 at Rossview. And so we'll wrap this thing up with you, Coach. So what do you got with your
And
team?
I'll be quick. I guess our circle, of course, is Kenwood. It was a really good game last year and a rivalry game. And, of course, like you said, good friends of mine that I always circle and love playing across you guys and be able to compete and have great times playing for the trophy. Our big thing, scrimmage-wise, we got Pope John Paul to open up. We'll go to Pope and I've 7-on-7 with those guys
Playing
a few
on the
years.
turf?
Yeah. I've played 7-on-7 with those guys the last couple of years, and we wanted to have a full-blown scrimmage to see how that's like, and then, we'll get into the season as well. Jamboree at Fort Campbell and get into the season, but it's definitely our rivalry games. There are trophy games as well too.
It's funny how you play each team every year, and you're trying to beat someone, and then next year they're trying to beat you, and all that fun stuff. So I can remember one time I was at the academy, we played Portland, and we're a single A school. They were 5A, so it was interesting pregame. The principal's like, hey, we were pretty good that year. We were like 10-2, so. The principal's like, hey, just glad you guys would, play us, and just glad you guys are here. And so, in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, man, we're here to beat you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm just so glad you guys would schedule us, being cordial and all that. So we beat them 10-7, okay? The coach almost got fired up there, okay? So the next year, they had everyone coming back, everyone. They went to a single wing, okay? So if you don't know this, this means the quarterback is behind in shotgun, but he's squatting down, and they have like a spin series, and then they shift, and it's unbalanced, and it's a headache, to get lined up and how to play it. And I told our team all off season, I'm telling you, better circle this game, because these guys are coming from blood. I'm telling you, kids sometimes I think they tune you in, coach, Okay, so they showed up. It was like 49-0. They won. So, and they did not pull anybody out. They played their starters the whole game, and they had everybody back, and they had a lot better year that year. So again, it goes back to sometimes when you beat someone and you're going to circle, you talk about circling it on the calendar, that coach, and if that team responds to that way, you give them some fuel. And I think our guys thought, hey, we're pretty good again this year. And I was like, man, I'm telling you, you better circle that game. Them guys coming for blood. When a single A beats a 5A, that's a huge upset in any kind of form. So they were really mad, and they didn't pull any players at all. And I wasn't mad at the coach. I'm just type of coach. If you're going to score 50, we got to stop you. We got to score 51. So I don't get upset with that. That's just part of the game. That's something we have to handle on our end, and our kids got to respond to that. So that was a crazy rivalry game. When you talk about circling people, they definitely circled us on the calendar. Yeah. So as we talk and we speak, I know everybody's circling someone. So for us, if it's the Warfield Shield, if it's Clarksville, for you guys, it might be Northeast. And I'm assuming now, I was at Northwest for you, so Northeast was a big rivalry.
It was, yes.
And in Kenwood was,
yes.
So Kenwood opened basically from Northwest.
Yes.
So Kenwood was built, and they drew some kids from Northwest. And I guess now it's a little bit different probably. Back in the day, that's how Kenwood got open, is Northwest got to be too big.
Of course.
So they grew from us. So for us, it's the other school down the road. They're being built. and they're going to be coming from Rossview zone. So anybody circle the calendar? Have you any paybacks, or have you got payback? That was a bad case for us, but it's a true story.
Well, I think for us, I mean, it's like last year when we had the coaches lunch in. My biggest thing was I told everybody I want to be able to play in the fourth quarter.
Right.
You know, I want to be able to have a game in the fourth quarter with everybody, and we did that this year. You know, and I think our kids are excited to see Rossview because we were going up, we were up against you guys, and then we ended up losing, I believe, by 3.
It was a close game. It was a great game.
And it was and those games are like, I mean, if you feel awful after it, but they are fun games to be a part of because our kids, haven't had much success in the past against Rossview, and to be a class that can, say, hey, this is a team we can actually play with. Right. Like, you know what I mean? They're not invincible, and same thing with CHS. I think when our kids, went to play them, and we were beating them at, I think it was 8-7 at half,
right, or
8-6, and we were up, and our kids, like, I'm looking at my kids like, I told you, like we could play with these guys, you know what I mean? And they ended up beating us. They ran away from us a little bit in the fourth quarter, but again, having teams like that leave a kind of a bad taste in your mouth, you definitely want to jump back into those games because the kids are just waiting for that opportunity. Like you said, like in basketball, it's like, all right, well, we got you in 3 weeks, like we're coming back. You know what I mean? And football, it's like you got 365 days, and then you have to go. Redeem yourself. And so, we try to find little victories. Like we'll go to the 7-on-7 game tournaments, and we'll try to find, if you guys are there, the kids are amped up about playing Northwest or Kenwood or Rossview or whoever.
Now, we've had some barn burners 7-on-7s in the past. I mean,
it
gets a little
and that sometimes, it's kind of, it was fun because it's just, it's two well-coached teams going against each other. And I think the big thing is like, those kids know their kids, you know what I mean? Like they all are friends on social media, so it kind of gives you a little bragging rights. It gives you a little sampler of like, hey, like just letting you know, you beat us in 7-on-7 or vice versa, and we got you coming up. So, things like that are fun. It's always fun to compare opponents too. If it's like, well, Northwest beat this team, so that must mean that they're here and this team's there, and we got to do this to do that.
Make comparison, looks at scores, and that's just sort of part of it.
Coaches do it as well too. After every game, I'm sitting there scrolling like, ooh, Rossview just won this one. Ooh, West Creek beat that one. Yeah, you have to understand the dynamics and the tones of what y'all's season going through when y'all come to see us. So that's very important with that, and I think it's the same thing. Our guys look at this at what y'all or other kids are doing, but the important thing here with it is it's the city now. Like there's like we played y'all in the Jamboree last year, but now we play Rossview. How many years ago did we play Rossview? It's been some years. Playing CHS, we played them my first year here as a defensive coordinator. Haven't played them since. Seeing that team, which first of all, us as coaches want to send our prayers out to CHS, and the family there, and them losing a young player, and we're praying for that family, and we're praying for Coach Shelby and his program. So
it's called the real world, isn't it?
It is, and it's so reigniting and going into these environments again. For our city, I think it's really, really huge. I know we're going to have great fan base. I know we're going to have some great games on the field, and I'm excited to see it, man. I'm excited to see it as well.
It's going to be a great season. We'll wrap this up, and just for some people out there watching the show, that in the past we had a Jamboree, which all Montgomery County. I think last year we split it with Clarksville and Northeast, which was different. This year some teams are going to Fort Campbell. We're going to East Robb. I don't know what else is going on in town, just to be honest with you. So check your local paper, your local team, your local coach, and check with that and see where your team's playing. Get out and watch football. Go back and catch some past episodes. And, hey, we're out of here for today, and you guys have a great night. CCN Network. See you guys later.
For current and exclusive content, subscribe to CDE Lightband, connecting you at the speed of light.